Tonight, a century on, why are we still so fascinated with the Titanic? Is the project.
Good evening, welcome to the project. I'm filling in for Charlie tonight, kind of obviously. Please welcome to the desk, Limo.
Thank you.
And Waleed Ali. She normally works. All right, it's been 100 years since the unsinkable ship failed to live up to its name. So what is it about the Titanic story that never grows old?
She was the largest moving object ever created, a floating palace of luxury and cutting-edge technology. It's been 100 years since the pride of the White Star Fleet set sail on her maiden voyage across the Atlantic. But a century on, we still can't get enough of the Titanic legend.
It's a timeless story, and it's such a parable about human behavior, human nature, charging with great pride and confidence across the ocean with this giant juggernaut of a ship right into a known ice field.
It's a really fascinating story for so many people.
This tragedy was an avoidable disaster. And it was human error and human complacency that did it. And also the whole idea of the class structure, of choosing who lives and who dies.
She took 3 years to build, but just 3 hours to sink. The ship was already a legend when it was given the Hollywood treatment in 1997. The film smashed box office records, taking $1.8 billion and 11 Academy Awards.
The true story backdrop combined with the love story element. People want to be able to disappear into a great, juicy love story in the way that you really can when you watch Titanic. And that's why it's withstood the test of time. It's a timeless classic.
Based on eyewitness accounts and analysis of the wreckage, the film is as close as possible to those fatal final hours.
I tried to observe in the background of the fictional love story the real stories that are passed down. The only way we know now what happened on the ship was from the survivors' testimony, but some of the stories are of people that didn't survive.
You do see this moment in the movie, and in headlines at the time they referred to people tobogganing to their deaths, sliding down those beautiful long promenade decks.
One of those real stories was when only one lifeboat returned.
The scene where the young officer goes back into the wreckage field and he waves his torch.
Is there anyone alive out there?
And that young officer standing on the prow of that boat in that graphic scene, that was my grandfather.
Godfrey Lowe says the Titanic haunted his granddad until his death.
It must have had an incredible impact on him because he was reluctant to talk about it to his family.
The water was below freezing. In fact, by the time 5th Officer Harold Lowe attempted to launch a rescue effort, it was far too late for most of them. They'd already frozen to death.
She took 1,500 passengers to their graves. The last remaining survivor died in 2009, aged 97.
I would get phone calls almost from people as though I had known them. People really thought that I was on that boat. So people would phone me and say, "Oh my God, did you hear? Melvina Dean died."
The Titanic legend will long outlive the ship herself.
It is slowly disintegrating. It's effectively melting into the sea.
I think if you drag the ship up into the sunlight, it'd be this sad, bedraggled, old, rusted hulk, But down there at the bottom of the ocean, it's this ghostly, gothic mansion, kind of sinking back, into deep, deep time.
Amazing that James Cameron got from the bottom of the ocean up in time to do that story for us. In conjunction with the 100th anniversary of the sinking of the Titanic, the movie is back on the big screen in 3D in cinemas everywhere on April 5th. You'll be pleased to know it does include the Celine Dion soundtrack, Lino.
In 3D, haven't we suffered enough?
Oh,
seriously.
We've been arguing all day about this. You didn't even like the movie the first time.
It could have been about an hour longer. God. I had The Notebook was 2 hours of my life I'll never get back. It's 3 hours for Titanic.
It was Celine Dion's birthday today, weirdly enough. 44.
Happy birthday, Celine.
I was just kind of with Limo. I reckon that package was better than the film.
In Afghanistan, before the end of the Taliban, the Titanic film was one of the only or most commonly available films in the underground market because TVs and cinemas were banned. And the name Titanic became synonymous with basically cool. So now, even today, if something's cool or someone's a snappy dresser, they say, "Oh, Titanic."
Really?
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that they're about to sink.
No.
Moving on now.